Hello, Jami, or should I say, hello, podcast Barbie, Jami.
Thank you for giving me my respect and my due. Yes, I am corporate Barbie today. And if you forget my name, it's right here, just in case you forget.
Oh, Barbie.
Yeah, it's a very unique name. And I noticed that you're very Barbie today.
Well, my favorite Barbie growing up was Day to Night Barbie, where she had a corporate suit like what you're wearing.
Oh my God, no, we should have swapped.
No, what happens is that she wears a very corporate suit with this little hat and she has a briefcase.
Okay.
And then for Night Barbie, she transforms her suit into this tool.
Oh, so she's both people. Like she transforms and oh my God, I freaking
And she came with
love.
a block, cute little pink cell phone. And Steve, we have my husband Steve on today.
AKA Ken.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite Ken?
As if there's multiple.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea.
What is your favorite Ken? The vanilla one that like
the beach Ken. Your beach Ken.
You have a fanny pack. You have a really
I love it.
Strikingly pink and yellow outfit on.
I thought for a second you have it on backwards.
No, it's actually correct.
It's correct, babe.
Oh
we should go to
God.
Venice Beach so we could play out the scene of when Barbie from the Barbie movie and Ken arrive to Los Angeles.
Oh my God. See, now I have to see the movie because full disclosure, Melissa, you and I were talking about this leading up to this episode. You were like, okay, we'll do the Barbie thing. And like, what's your favorite Barbie, Jami? Because we were trying to figure out what my outfit's going to be. And I was like, I never really played with Barbies. I mean, I did. My neighbors across the street had Barbies. So every now and then we would play it, but I was like a little more tomboyish and like riding skateboards and stuff. So I don't even know what Barbies exist. Of course, I've heard Malibu Barbie, and I just took a wild guess that like corporate Barbie existed somewhere. So that's kind of what I am today.
You're day to night.
I'm day to night, and you're the
day.
night. I'm the day.
Yes.
Oh my God, I love that.
And we did that not unwillingly.
Yeah, well,
unknowingly.
I would actually argue that we do have one unwilling participant. He was forced to be here. I will just let everybody know.
Because
very much forced.
First of all, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. This is our Halloween episode. I'm just impressed that you guys actually buy anything Halloween decor. I am not a Halloween fall decor girly. I do the bare minimum. So, and only because I have a daughter who's of the age still who like enjoys Halloween. So I'm an unwilling participant, and I'm not, everybody's like, oh yeah, you have a true crime podcast. You're so into true crime. You must love Halloween. I actually don't. And I'm not even into like ghosts or anything, but I am so impressed that you guys actually went that far because you guys have older kids, but I have a young kid and I'm like, okay, I guess I need to like put some webs and skeletons and to make her happy. But I'm like always like, oh shit, who's going to clean this shit up?
Well, 12. Steve is perpetually 12 or 14.
Okay.
He hasn't grown up.
Got you. Okay. So it's really all for Ken. I mean, Ken.
What else did you buy, babe? Smoke detectors.
Oh, the fog machine too. So the fog can go down the driveway.
Well, you guys are so into it.
He has a vision.
Do you guys get trick-or-treaters?
No, because we live on a hill and nobody wants to hike up.
And then when we bought the house during COVID, nobody's been up there since.
Oh my God. We don't get trick-or-treaters either because we live on a dark canyon street and there's no street lights on my street. So it's like dark and it's back in a canyon. So we have to like go to other neighborhoods to do the trick-or-treating.
I think that our intention, I would say we haven't spoken about it, but I think the intention is to make our house so inviting to TikTokers.
Oh my God, that's where our brains are every day.
So inviting to trick-or-treaters that they will come. Our house will lure them to come and get full-size candy bars.
But even that 12-foot Scully has not lured them in.
Well, we just got it. So we will test it out.
All right, let us know. There's going to be a follow-up on that.
Mm-hmm. A follow-up. And then maybe we'll switch out our chandeliers with like red or purple lights or something.
Which would be amazing.
Because we have a house, so we have an A-frame and we have glass windows. So you'll see in.
That would be so scary. And you live up on a hill. Like it just sounds scary already.
We can make it freaky.
Yeah, I don't like haunted houses. They scare me.
So we brought Steve in because we have a subject matter that is near to us.
The case today that Melissa's going to walk us through is, I don't want to say it's near and dear to our hearts, but we thought bringing Steve in would just add a little extra oomph to it.
Yeah.
Steve, do you know what the case is about?
I have no idea why I'm
here. Maybe we should lovingly share what we're going to be talking about.
I'm going to play the trailer.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
As a romantic suspense writer, I spend a lot of time thinking about murder. So my husband has learned to sleep with one eye open.
A Lifetime original movie.
What does it matter if the books get published?
What are you trying to say?
If you're going to murder your husband, it may not be the best idea to write a blog post called How to Murder Your Husband.
How to Murder Your Husband, the Nancy Brophy story. Premieres Saturday, January 14th today. Only on Lifetime. The Nancy Brophy story.
I'm so glad he's laughing. So
What do you think,
Steve, this is How to Murder Your Husband. Welcome.
Sweet.
So glad you're here.
You're watching me? Well, I guess some people would say you probably should have already slept with one eye open.
Absolutely.
Of who I'm related to. And if not that, then it's that
You're going to be the first suspect, so it's okay.
It's so true.
You know what? I would be the first suspect because of my Google searches.
Oh, 100%. I always tell Steve, I'm like, dude, if anything ever happens to you, let's knock on wood that it doesn't. If they check my Google searches, I'm toast. Because I research this stuff all the time. They're going to be like, sure, you were researching to kill your husband.
Well, that was the podcast episode I was filming.
Exactly. It was just innocent work.
Mm-hmm.
So are you going to lead us through a story that sounds like it involves how to murder your husband?
Yes. This is the Nancy Brophy story, How to Murder Your Husband. Mm-hmm.
Sounds familiar. I think so with this case, I do remember some headlines, and it's been a while, like a little while since I've really even read any articles.
Okay.
So I'm going to be, I don't know what happened.
Yes.
Fully.
So this is the true story of Nancy Crampton-Brophy, played by Cybill Shepherd for the Lifetime movie. So watch that. The Lifetime movie is, of course, called How to Murder Your Husband. That's the trailer I played.
They just get right to the point.
Yes, they get right to the point. In this movie summary, Lifetime states, Nancy seemed to have a knack for writing about murder. The Portland-based...
Oh my gosh, there's another tie to you guys. I'm honestly scared for Ken's life here.
Yeah. The Portland-based romance thriller novelist authored books about relationships that were while using seductive men on the covers to lure in her readers. Often, her books featured women protagonists who fantasized about killing their own husbands or fleeing their husbands and faking their own deaths. And then in 2022, in a shocking turn of events, Brophy was convicted of killing her own husband.
Okay, so you're saying Nancy Brophy was an author, a true crime author, it sounds like, and she was then accused of killing her own husband.
Correct. So we're going to get into the case that is, when I say it's near to us, I meant near in proximity, location. It's Portland-based.
Oh, thank goodness. Whew. I know. I was scared for a second. I was like, oh God, how's this going to connect to us? Are we implicating ourselves in a crime? I don't know.
Right. And just to be mindful, I am not making fun of the victim. I am laughing at the ridiculous nature of her occupation in relation to her crimes.
Yes, totally understood.
Okay. Just that disclaimer. So if you're not from Portland, Oregon, you may not realize there are different areas around Portland. It's a very large city with boroughs extending outwards. Well, I was just going to give my location. I'm not
let's not. No,
I'm not going to give
Portland-ish.
But Portland is known for being weird. It's like, what would you say?
Kind of like Austin, Texas?
Yeah, Austin, I think their slogan is
stay weird or
stay weird.
Something like that. I don't know.
What is Portland's, babe?
Keep Portland weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so similar.
Yeah. I think they did not trademark it, I guess. Austin should have.
Because they're just, who had it first? Now we got to Google who did it first.
Yeah. lie detectors, you tell us.
Yeah,
did Austin
they know.
come first with their
weird,
slogan? Their weird
or
slogan?
did Portland who was weird first, Portland or Austin?
I think anybody who watches Portlandia would totally know the culture of Portland. I moved from Santa Clarita to Portland just how many years ago, honey?
4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years. I'm getting used to it. I'm learning the culture. So I would say there's some style that you can see on the street that's unique to Portland.
Oh, okay.
Like,
give us an example.
Like men still in the 1900s look.
Not the 1900s.
Yeah, a beard and the vest.
Okay.
And
interesting.
like kind of a hipster meets 1900s shop clerk.
Okay, do they wear like cuffed Levi's and have a mustache?
Yeah, they'll have a mustache. Mustaches are in. They'll have that's one look. The other look is like REI mixed with Birkenstocks. Lumberjack. Yeah, lumberjack.
Birkenstocks are big in Oregon. I have family in Southern Oregon.
Okay.
Now, I would say Portland's got to be a lot more stylish, even if it is a little behind, or maybe it is or not. Southern Oregon, there's a lot of like river sandals.
Yeah.
A lot of Birkenstocks.
Or yep. That's
a lot of lumberjack.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
a lot of Subarus.
Steve has a Subaru.
I love a Subaru. My sister's actually, that's her like goal. She wants to get a Subaru. She lives in Oregon.
What do you want to do to your Subaru, Steve? Besides marry it. But when he walks by it, he's like, ooh, that's a sexy car.
Yeah. Hey, a Subaru's perfect for that terrain out there.
You're blushing. What do you want to do to your Subaru, babe?
Nothing.
Soup it up.
It's expensive.
He had plans. He just bought it.
It's
what
expensive.
What were your plans?
Lift it. Change the front bumper out.
To what?
Put a toe winch on it.
And the light package you want because you have road rage. I'm telling on you.
We have something in common then.
Because it's so dark up there. Everybody drives with their brights on.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, so I need more lights so I can turn them on.
So you can do that back. I've always wished, because I'm a little bit of a road rager. Now I've gotten so much better. The kids have calmed me down. But I have always wished that I had like a sign at the back window of my car that I could be like, fuck off. Like I could write messages to people.
They make those on Amazon. You can buy the little things in the window.
Listen, don't threaten me with a good time. I will go on Amazon later. I got Prime and I'm going to get my sign and you guys just pray for me.
I can only see that in your Porsche.
I need it in the Porsche. I would die in the streets of LA. Like there's no way. I mean, in my fantasies, I want that sign so I could tell people like how I really feel, but it would get me killed. It's not a smart idea. It's not a smart idea.
But so Steve, you want to flood them with light, blind them so they get in a car crash, or what happens?
So they turn the brights off.
It's innocent.
That's it. It's innocent. I don't want them to be hurt.
It's a light battle. He just wants to get into a light battle. Like, ooh, boo.
It's like Star
here's
Wars
mine.
Lightsabers.
Oh, you want these?
Touching.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I would say the rims were stock. They reminded me of the 90s. What?
Portland.
Is Portland a little in Portland, are they a little stuck in the 90s?
Real.
But the 90s are super in.
Wait, I have to find Portlandia for anybody. You know what Portlandia is, right?
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched
Oh my gosh,
it.
it's such a catchy little trailer too.
You know, people were talking about getting piercings and getting tribal tattoos.
Yeah.
And people were singing about saving the planet and forming bands.
Yeah.
There's a place where that idea still exists as a reality, and I've been there.
Where is it?
Portland.
Oregon?
Yeah.
Dream of the 90s is alive. Portland, Portland, Portland. The dream of the 90s is alive. Portland, Portland. Tattoo ink never runs dry.
Remember when people were...
Okay, but we're not going to be talking about Portlandia. We're going to be talking about Nancy Brophy, who is a fantasy writer that is infamous for what she wrote on a blog, which was How to Murder Your Husband.
Oh my God, this is so bizarre. Okay.
All right. So let's get into it, shall we?
We shall.
All right. Dan Brophy and his wife Nancy lived in Beaverton, which is about 20 miles, right? What would you say from Portland?
Smashed up against it, maybe 5-10 miles at the most.
Oh. Steve is a
coming in with the facts. We don't even need Google.
I don't know.
We got Steve Ken.
Yeah. Okay. Beaverton residents enjoy the best of both worlds, easy access to the city, along with peace and quiet, and Cornelius Pass. If you know, you know.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
It's a stretch of highway to connect, and goes through a forest. It's windy. All of the trucks take that route. There's some corners where you have to go 10 miles an hour. Yeah. And if you get behind a truck, it's the only way to target.
That's
how
when
you
Steve flashes his lights on his Subaru. When he gets behind that damn truck, and that's when I turn on my digital sign on my car.
Yeah. So if you know, you know, it's Cornelius Pass. Cornelius Pass has his own Facebook group.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. You
so
should join.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Dan Brophy was well known throughout the Portland area for his culinary expertise. His very first job had been in a restaurant, and he developed an appreciation for the bustle of working in the kitchen. Okay. Let's say a little bit about them as a couple. The couple maintained a large vegetable garden and raised several chickens on their property. And in Portlandia, there's an episode that Steve really loves about where they go to a restaurant.
Oh, they go to the restaurant and the waitress gives them the whole workup of what the chicken's name, where it lived, how it lived, what it ate.
Because it's not
for its entire life.
Oh my God. Which would my daughter is she eats meat, but every time before she takes a bite of meat, she's like, but it makes me sad that this was a living thing one time. So if we went to a restaurant and they pulled that on her, she'd be like, I'm out. Give me the veggies.
Yeah. Well, and the show goes further into it. So it starts with that scene where they're sitting at the table and then they provide the paperwork on the chicken because she wants to know, the source of her ingredients.
Yeah.
And then it goes deeper. They end up where? I forgot.
They ended up visiting the farm that the chicken was grown on, and then they end up becoming part of the commune on the farm.
Wow.
It's a whole thing. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So a little bit about the perp, our suspect, Nancy. This was the second marriage for Nancy and Dan. Very little public information has been released about their lives before they met. They were both in their 40s when their romance blossomed, and those close to the couple were delighted by their second chance marriage.
Love that. Love a second chance.
Mm-hmm. And that's us. Steve and I this is our second marriage.
Yeah, me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Upgrade. We upgraded to the Steves.
Yeah, Steve Square.
Steve Square.
Dan Brophy was well known throughout the Portland area. While he had graduated with a focus in marine biology from South Dakota's University of Sioux Falls, his passion was cooking. As an extension of that, he derived a lot of joy from mentoring others. So he's a good guy.
I like that. He does sound like a good guy. He enjoyed what he did, and he wanted to spread that knowledge to others who wanted to do it as well.
In the 1990s, Dan worked as a cooking instructor at the Western Culinary Institute, one of the several Portland area culinary schools. Brian Wilke, I guess the E is silent. Brian Wilke was one of his students there, and Chef Dan apparently made a lasting impression on him. They later worked together at the Western Culinary Institute, which was renamed Le Cordon Bleu in the 2000s. That sounds fancy.
Yeah, I think there's one in Pasadena, or at least a school. If I'm not mistaken, I used to work in Pasadena.
Isn't that French?
Le Cordon Bleu.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's how you say it, but I think that there used to be students and you could go taste their food.
What's the name of the ham? And the ham and cheese inside
oh my God,
a chicken.
Yes, it's called. It came up in one of my scripts recently.
Cordon bleu? No, not cordon bleu.
No, chicken cordon bleu.
Chicken cordon bleu.
Yeah.
So Le Cordon Bleu is the school.
Yes, a very prestigious school. It sounds like.
But that chicken sounds really fancy.
I like fancy chicken. I mean, I prefer red meat, but I'll do chicken as long as it has a bone in it. I don't want no I'm saying so I grew up I don't know if this is a white people thing or if it's a whatever, but a freaking dry ass chicken breast. No, thank you. Chicken
I'm
breast?
opposite.
I need a bone and some juice.
No. I bought the other day. Okay, so Steve has a friend named Craig. You could tell. I came home and Steve was ready to compete against his friend Craig. Right, babe?
I said, let's have wings. And then you went to the store.
And what did I do wrong?
You bought legs.
Oh, you bought like, well, they kind of look alike. And then there's like boneless. And then there's.
The size.
Yeah. Take that.
Yeah. So his friend Craig made these amazing buffalo wings in his air fryer. And Steve's like, I'm going to make those. I'm cooking dinner tonight for our family. So he sent me to the store.
And I
got
love
all
an
the
air fryer.
ingredients. Yeah.
Love an air fryer.
I got all the ingredients except for the wrong meat.
You bought legs like they do at those medieval times. Like, what was that? What it was?
It was drumsticks.
Like, I mean, listen, I love a drumstick. It's got a bone in it. I'm satisfied. And lie detectors, let's ask them. Like, okay, if you're eating
like
chicken.
Me, no, you bone less. No grizzle, no veiny crap in it. Nothing in that chicken but chicken breast.
Now, I understand. Like, and it's also a function of like, am I sitting in my car and I need to scarf something down because I'm going to run into a meeting that I'm going to be late for? What's the easiest? Boneless for sure. Like dip something in some ranch and eat it with no bones and not worry. But if I have time to sit down at a meal and don't give a shit who's looking at me, I want a bone because I hate the word moist, but it's like, it's not dry chicken. That's all. I don't like my chicken dry.
I'm easy.
He likes meat. He's a dude. All right.
Food.
Cool.
Food. You like food.
Food's good.
You're Ken. You don't
I know.
like food.
But Steve likes food. Steve's allowed to like food.
Okay.
Why'd we come here? I came here to beach.
Yes.
Yes, you did. He was a good sport. He watched the booby. He watched the Barbie movie.
The booby movie.
Sorry.
Melissa, you guys should have heard what she said earlier. I'm sorry, but she said, oh yeah, hold on. Real quick. Let me just say this real quick.
Okay.
We just got done recording an episode. We took a little break to change into our Barbie outfits. And Melissa, in front of our production assistant, Alyssa, in front of her husband, in front of me, she's all, we should all scissor
our legs.
And then we're like, no, wait, hold on. Where is this going? And she's like, no, the way that Barbie walks, like she scissors.
Yeah.
But like to me,
scissors, like cutting scissors.
No, honey, it meant a whole different thing. And I was like, whoa, is that what this is today? Everybody's going to scissor. And then she's all, no, I just meant your legs. And I'm like, yeah, that's scissoring. I'm sorry, you guys.
Okay.
And then, that's where it went earlier.
My cheeks are all red. How am I going to get through this?
And now
cake?
she's talking about the booby movie. Like, come on, you guys.
Well, Steve, now I don't even know what I was talking about with Barbie, but
he was
you made me go watch the Barbie movie.
He was a good sport. He watched the Barbie movie.
I thought you were great, babe. And I cried during the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
You should watch it.
I will.
Watch it.
I will.
And Steve, it's Ken enough by coming today and showing his support, being in costume.
Definitely Ken enough.
There's no horses.
There's
He's
no
still
horses.
upset about the horses.
And
Oh,
what is
upset about
the
the horses.
Doja? What is it? Yes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Doja Cat. I mean, I just really am so lost with this movie.
You're going to have to watch it. You'll get
Okay.
all of this.
I will.
And then we will discuss your thoughts about it. So Dan worked as a chef instructor at another area school called Good Taste. Dan kept in touch with Brian even over the years. They didn't work together directly. Then in 2006, Brian and another chef, Eric Stromquist, decided to open their own school. They called it the Oregon Culinary Institute, or OCI. The privately owned trade school offered coursework ranging from hospitality to baking, with a focus on sustainability and locally sourcing. Very Portland.
Yeah. Very LA.
Yeah, both. Maybe it's just
And it might be a grift. Like, I don't know. I love the local source, like in theory, but like, is it really locally? So I don't know.
It's the local,
the local. What do you call it?
the local ate lunch.
I know, because all you're talking about is food. What counts as locally sourced? Like, I mean, did they just go to the Ralph's that's local and source their shit?
That's what I was thinking too. Okay. All right.
We haven't even had any drinks.
Okay.
We have not had any drinks. Okay.
Okay. Brian immediately thought of Chef Dan when identifying potential instructors, and a decade later he would be named lead chef instructor. Throughout his career with OCI, Dan gained a reputation for his dry wit and idiosyncrasies.
Oh, I love that word.
Okay.
Idiosyncrasies. Yeah.
Which his students lovingly referred to as Brophyisms.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I first learned the word idiosyncrasies when I was in high school. I was taking summer school, and the teacher played this game that he was going to go over, which is really odd when you think about it. And this guy was kind of an odd duck anyway. We were all like 10th graders. And he's like, I'm going to point out every single student's idiosyncrasy if you want to play along, because he'd gotten to know us throughout the course.
Okay.
And he like pointed out like, okay, your idiosyncrasy is that you wink or you laugh when you talk or, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even remember to this day what he said my idiosyncrasy was, but it always stuck with me what an idiosyncrasy is.
Ooh. Okay. Maybe this is this dangerous? What's mine?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay. Do you want to tell me?
Man, you know what?
I'll think of Steve's. Let's see. Steve, what you can come up with one for me. You're
like, and I'm trying to think of an idiosyncrasy like of yours as I've gotten to know you.
Let me think of yours.
You talk a very distinct way. I don't know if that's an idiosyncrasy. It's like, it's very soothing. You talk in a way that's very regal.
Oh.
To me, yeah. Like when you pronounce your words, let me try to do it. And I don't even know if this is an idiosyncrasy, but it's like, so you're like, you're like, so Jami, ... And I'm not going to do it justice, but the way she talks is very regal.
Well, so when I was working at the Dr. Oz show, everybody, my boss would say to me, and other people have said this, they're like, I always know when you're here because of your laugh. And then I heard my laugh is like, after I heard my laugh, I'm like, oh my God, I laugh everywhere all the time, so loud. And then my sister has that same laugh as me.
Okay, but what's funny is I noticed that about you right when I met you, but it immediately comforted me because I have a very loud laugh and I laugh all the time. And my whole family laughs like this and we make fun of ourselves and it's not cute to listen to. Yours is better than mine, but we're both loud laughers.
Okay, so yours is that you pronounce your words perfect.
Oh.
Yeah.
I do. Really?
You do. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, you really do.
Oh. Well, you know what's funny? Do you want to know what is interesting about that?
You said the T. The
interesting. Yeah. Every syllable is that I wanted to be a news broadcaster when I was younger. I wanted to be Jillian Barbary from Good Day LA. I don't know if you remember her, but she's like was the best because she was like quirky and funny.
Yeah.
But that's funny that you say that because I wanted to be a news broadcaster.
No, it's perfect. I like it.
Thank you.
Steve, let's see. What is yours?
Lots of them.
You do. You have amazing dad jokes.
Oh, I love a good dad joke.
He throws them out all the time.
I love those. They're so innocent.
It's all situational, though. I can't come up with them on my own.
Yeah, like the situation calls for it, and you're like right there, Johnny, on the spot with a dad joke. I love that.
He has them. He absolutely has them. And then he was following an Instagram called Dad Jokes for inspiration. And then I followed it as well. And then he would start on it, like telling a dad
You're like,
joke.
but I already heard
this one on Instagram.
You were like 2 steps ahead of him. I always tell my Steve that he needs to get some new material because his jokes are not dad jokes. They're inappropriate. But sometimes they're really funny and sometimes they're not. And I'm just like dead face. And he's like, but that was funny. And I'm like, you need new material. Like, come again, please.
You know what? I love that you don't laugh then.
Yeah. I don't give him a courtesy laugh.
I don't reward.
I don't reward for bad jokes. Like you just really need to impress me a little more.
No. So this Dan guy seems like a great guy.
With his brophyisms.
Dan and the man.
Dan the man with his brophyisms.
According to people.com, Chef Dan would call out sloppy behavior by making his students wear oven mitts when they forgot to wash their hands or wear a number of comical hats if they left their chef's hat at home. Sounds like that's bad things to do. So you have to remember.
Yeah.
And who wants dirty hands on their food?
Nobody. That's
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah, I think he's doing a good deed by
I agree.
getting them to remember.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
It kind of
Thank
reminds me of PE class. If you forgot your clothes, you had to go to the
and get
Lost and
loners.
Found.
Yeah, to get loners. Oh my God, I remember wearing those too. And it's so embarrassing.
You get what you get, and
Yeah.
you don't throw a fit. And it was not washed.
No, they're always stained and not cute.
Yeah, not great. There was also a yearly tradition where one student would don a cow costume so the other students could attach Velcro labels identifying the different cuts of meat. Okay.
That's actually really great. I mean, how can you ever forget, where the cuts of meat are by playing that game? I mean, that's actually very smart on his part.
Chef Dan's special brand of humor made him stand out as an instructor. I would say so.
He's already standing out in my mind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unique
he's a good guy.
personality.
He's a good guy. It wasn't all fun and games, of course. There was also a deep level of respect for Dan on campus and throughout Portland. According to his OCI faculty page, Dan was the most active faculty member leading field trips, organizing student projects, and speaking in the community. He was a mushroom expert. This does not surprise me about Portland. Many OCI instructors and student chefs alike considered Chef Dan a resident encyclopedia of culinary knowledge. So his wife, Nancy, earned her living in a much less creative way. A native of Wichita Falls, Texas, she studied economics at the University of Houston. All right.
Economics to author. How's this going to?
How does this happen?
Yeah.
And how do they meet? I'm so curious. After graduating, she began a long career as a salesperson at various insurance companies.
Boring.
Yeah.
No wonder she got into sex books.
After their 1997 wedding, Nancy began purchasing policies for herself and Dan.
Omar,
You know where this is going.
I don't like how this is going. Okay.
Yeah, she's learning. She earned a commission on each one sold. Increased sales also meant boosted confidence in the policy she peddled. She could tell potential clients she was secure enough in a policy's benefits to purchase it for herself.
Okay. Like, I'm not only a hair club, whatever, I'm also a client.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good one. That's what she used.
Yeah.
All right, what are you thinking, Steve?
Does this sound, I mean, I'm just like,
She's buying life insurance and he doesn't know about it. Then it's already shady.
that could be shady. Could be shady if he doesn't know.
Maybe. We don't know yet.
Okay.
Maybe it was the cut and dry nature of her occupation that drew Nancy to writing.
What you think? Insurance or writing sex books?
Yes. Do you know why women like sex books, babe?
No. Unless they're bored.
I mean, okay, where is this going? Because I can think of a lot of reasons why women read sex books. Like, what's the famous one that was made into a movie? What's the
50 Shades
Yeah,
of
50
Grey.
Shades, yeah.
Do you know why women like 50 Shades of Grey?
Because the dude's hot?
Yeah.
In a book, they're reading
No, the
about
dude
him.
on the show. They
For
don't.
the
They only
movie,
read
yeah.
the book because they watched the movie.
Well, but in their mind, they're picturing the hot,
yeah.
whatever. They call these books something, and now, of course, anybody who's listening,
Corset rippers.
that and something else. That's a good one. I don't like these kind of books, but I'm boring. I just would rather listen, read books about JFK's assassination and real stories. And
Well, I got into those books when I was a teenager. Chapter of the group Romance Writers of America. I guess since she lived in my area, I could join if I wanted.
you really could. I mean, you should.
yeah.
You ought to consider it.
Through self-publishing, she went on to release a romance suspense series and 2 novellas. Is that how you say it?
Oh, telenovelas. Wait, did you say that
2
again?
Novellas. Novel.
Is it one word? Because that's a Spanish word.
And okay, we'll just skip it. Suspense series.
Oh,
As
okay.
described on her website, her stories are about pretty men and strong women, about families that don't always work, and about the joy of finding love and the difficulty of making it stay. Well, writing was more of a hobby than a new career. Like many writers all over the world, Nancy felt a sense of community in the online sphere. In 2011, she crafted a blog post on a forum for female writers titled How to Murder Your Husband.
Oh, God.
So shall we read what she wrote about that? I
Yeah.
wonder what
That's interesting.
what advice she gave.
on
Well,
how
we've
to
been
murder your
working in
husband.
true crime for a long time, so I'm sure we could come up with one.
Listen, there are many ways to murder anybody. We all know that because we
Mhm.
all, listen and watch, true crime. But I'm interested to see what she thought.
It's cited. There's an archive version on from the Washington Post. I find it easier to wish people dead than to actually kill them. I don't want to worry about blood and brains splattered on the walls. And really, I'm not good at remembering lies. But the thing I know about murder is that every one of us have it in him or her when pushed far enough.
Lie detectors, weigh in. Do you think that everybody has murder in them if pushed far enough?
So, was Nancy adopting a persona or expressing her secret impulses and masking it as fiction?
Interesting.
Yeah, let us know. So, the discovery of the body. Before classes started on any given day, Chef Dan had a morning ritual. He was commonly the first to arrive at OCI, and he'd unlock the faculty entrance for another early riser, pastry instructor Dorothy Damon. Before the students showed up, Dan filled buckets with ice and water from a commercial sink and prepared a large pitcher of coffee. So that's
nice of him.
Yeah. June 2nd, 2018 started much like any other morning. It was a Saturday, so most of the students arriving were home cooks, hobbyists, or second career chefs. It only crossed Chef Dorothy's mind that something might be amiss when she realized she hadn't seen Chef Dan that morning.
And that was his normal routine,
Yes.
so that may have given her pause.
The first few students started filing into his classroom. Something felt off. Chef Dan was usually standing there waiting to jovially greet them. On this particular morning, there was no sight of him. One of the students wandered into the kitchen area and found Dan lying on the floor unconscious.
Oh, at the school.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
There was blood everywhere. A commotion followed as several concerned students gathered. While one person alerted emergency personnel and attempted CPR, a few others ran into the hall to find help. I mean, can you imagine for the students, this is shocking.
It will be a day, a moment they'll never, ever forget. No.
Yeah. Since it was...
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Do you ever feel just overwhelmed and pull out your laptop to start online ordering? You have a few $100s in your online cart only to click out, or worse, buy it all.
Yes. In fact, I have a full Amazon cart right now.
Okay, same. Apparently it's called abandoned carts, and it's a form of window shopping that became more of a habit for many of us after the pandemic. It's a way for our brains to self-soothe. Our brain wants to calm us into comfort.
I find that I typically go online shopping when I'm bored or just to price compare.
Which is all normal and healthy. I find I reach out more for the self-soothing aspect or as a way to procrastinate from doing what I really should be doing. And I think that's where BetterHelp comes into play. BetterHelp can be a resource to help us identify why we are avoiding the harder issues and why our brain is looking for ways to self-soothe despite it being potentially harmful to our purses.
Yes, because releasing our deeper concerns to a licensed therapist instead of having them fill your brain to the point you find other diversions, it's like working for yourself instead of against yourself.
And working for your budget. But I do think there is a misconception that therapy is only for those who've experienced major trauma, but it's also a tool we can use for exploring becoming the better versions of ourselves.
Truer words have never been spoken. BetterHelp therapists can help us navigate the conversations that we find really hard to have with people we love or that boss of yours, instead of the add to cart avoidance method we sometimes practice.
It's really about developing empowering coping skills, small or big.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a quick questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime at no charge.
Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/LL today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LL.
Only other faculty member in the building. A student found her in the restroom and alerted her to the tragedy unfolding. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
Somebody like pounding on your bathroom stall.
Yeah, like come and see what we found.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, shocking.
Yeah. By the time an ambulance arrived, it was too late. Chef Dan Brophy had been fatally shot in the back and chest.
In the back.
Yeah. So the reactions from the community were, our prayers are those who are affected by this horrible tragedy that took place this morning. Everybody wondered, why was Chef Dan killed?
He was a beloved teacher, mentor, member of the community.
Did he take a joke too far, maybe with one student?
With his Brophyisms?
Mm-hmm. That's what one wonder. So his wife, though, took to Facebook the day after her husband died, conveying how distraught she felt. According to people.com, she posted, For those of you who are close to me and feel this deserved a phone call, you are right. But I'm struggling to make sense of everything right now. That's interesting.
Okay. I mean, yeah,
right.
The Facebook part, going to Facebook is interesting, but again, you can never know how you're going to react to something traumatic. But it makes sense that I'm not going to be able to reach out to you right now. My husband died.
It does make sense because, I go MIA all the time. I will get a text from somebody and I won't actually intentionally open it up. I'll wait.
And then I forget about it.
And then I
do that all the time.
And then the shame catches up with me. I'm like, oh, damn it. This was a week ago.
Left them on red. They think I'm ignoring them. I do that all the time. I wish I could mark them unread. Maybe you can now on the iPhone, but I mark emails unread all the time. Because otherwise I'll forget.
So, this could be a post that I could write, for those of why I'm not calling or answering your calls.
Yeah. Nothing to see here.
What would you write on Facebook, honey?
Oh.
I have no idea what I would write.
He doesn't want to know what he would write.
Probably nothing because I don't hardly post anything now.
I know. 2 days later, hundreds of friends, students, and colleagues gathered to memorialize the popular chef. It was abundantly clear just how many lives the 63-year-old had touched over the years.
That's when it becomes real. He's a real person. People absolutely loved him. They looked forward to seeing him probably on those mornings when they went to class. Yeah.
Nancy joined in the overwhelming praise of her late husband and spoke of him with deep admiration. As quoted by Portland Monthly, she told the crowd of mourners, he loved teaching, he loved mushrooms, he loved family, and he loved family. I don't know. I find a little weird that he loved mushrooms.
And it's that also, I'm in LA, so it's I'm kind of well, what did he... We won't dive too deep, but I also loved mushrooms back in the day. But probably not the same. I probably enjoyed mushrooms a different way than Dan Brophy did in his life. I'll just say that.
I don't know. When you have the task of writing something to memorialize somebody.
He loved mushrooms. It must have been a real thing for him, though. Maybe there's a mushroom community that we're not super aware of that it's actually a thing.
All right, lie detectors, if you're a mushroom lover, let us know. Educate us.
And also what kind of mushrooms? There's so many different, there's medicinal, there's the tea, there's psychedelics, there's.
And would you be offended if somebody wrote in your obituary or that, your profession, that you loved mushrooms and family?
I would hope that
Do
that's
not write that about me.
Please. Yeah.
Do not, babe.
I would write and she loved a red lip.
Yeah.
I would include that. Loved a power red lip.
Maybe I got this wrong. She really personalized his
Yeah, that was something super unique to him that not most people can say, oh, I'm a lover of mushrooms. Okay. So all right, enough. Nancy, fine.
Sorry.
Yeah. We were judging.
Yes. So she goes on, Dan was one of the very few people I've known that knew exactly what he wanted in life and loved doing it. That's good.
That's very sweet.
Yeah. Others took to social media to express their devastation. Stacey Givens, owner of farm-to-table restaurant, The Side Yard Farm and Kitchen, had hosted Chef Dan as a poultry slaughter instructor. As cited by the Oregonian, Givens wrote on Instagram, "I have no words to describe the heartbreak I'm feeling right now. Today, this world lost one of the best humans I've ever known. Chef Brophy has been a mentor to me through my culinary and farming career. I saw him not just as a friend, a teacher, an inspiration, but as family."
Very sweet.
Yeah, I love
Very
that.
well written.
Yeah,
It brings him to life for people who like us who didn't know him.
Mhm.
You're really like they're painting a picture of just a beloved person with many interests, who like to share those interests with others. Just like it seems like it's just a really good guy.
And I think, for his wife, Nancy, who wrote How to Murder Your Husband. After Dan's murder, detectives pieced together what little evidence they had to identify his killer. 2 9mm shell castings had been found at the scene, but there was no weapon to go with it. Investigators concluded from Dan's injuries, his attacker had caught him off guard, firing the first shot in his back. So he was not facing his attacker, and he was blindsided.
So it's not like there was some confrontation. I'm angry at you. Now I'm going to kill you.
He's probably filling the coffee up or, doing his tasks, and his back was to the attacker. But there were no signs of a struggle and no indication this had been a robbery gone wrong. Dan's cell phone, keys, and wallet had all been left undisturbed. There were no security cameras inside the school, but over the course of several weeks, investigators pored over footage from area traffic cameras and surrounding businesses. Detectives began questioning those closest to Dan, starting with his wife, Nancy. When asked about her whereabouts at the time of the shooting, Nancy said she had been home all morning. Friends and neighbors of the couple were also interviewed to determine if anything about the relationship could arouse suspicion.
It's always the wife.
Is it? Well, it's always the
It's always the
husband.
spouse.
It's the husband, Ken. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Intimate partner.
Mhm.
They're going to always go to them first. Makes sense.
You have to rule them out. By all accounts, Dan and Nancy had a loving, fulfilling marriage. They had been together for over 2 decades, frequently exchanged affectionate text message with words of encouragement, and inspired Dan's students to strive for the kind of marriage they had. So they were a good example.
Okay. I didn't expect that.
I didn't either. In an author biography on Nancy's website, she was the first to admit, like all marriages, we've had our ups and downs, more good times than bad. She goes on to mention that on an unspecified date, the couple had to spend 14 months in an apartment while their home was rebuilt after a house fire. Anybody who's been through a renovation and stayed married after that,
means
strong.
you definitely have some sort of strength in that relationship to get through that.
Yeah. In the year leading up to Dan's death, they were gearing up for retirement. The couple's finances had always been tight. Every month, they were mortgage payments of around $1,500, $1,000 in life insurance premiums.
Okay, hold on. Now if your mortgage is $1,500 and your life insurance is like 2/3 of your mortgage amount, that is a red flag.
And
It's a lot.
repayment of a loan taken out as a safety net for when Dan planned to stop teaching. So they must have put a mortgage on their house or something.
Yeah.
Like a HELOC.
Okay. So they're more, it sounds like they live paycheck to paycheck and their house didn't have a lot of equity. Maybe they mortgaged it up for whatever reason.
$1,000 in life insurance premiums. I think 100's too high.
I agree. Me and Steve pay not that much for a decent amount of life insurance on each other.
Yeah.
It's not $1,000. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's already $250.
No, I watched.
In 2018, Dan had supplemented his weekday classes with weekend cooking classes at OCI and got a part-time job cooking at a rehabilitation center. Upon retirement, the couple planned to subdivide their half-acre of land for further financial security.
Okay.
I think that's smart.
Mm-hmm.
There was a plan out of this hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than cutting the life insurance policies for some reason.
I'm still alarmed by those payments. Like, was that necessary? And I'm sad that Dan died right before retirement and didn't get to enjoy it.
Yeah, I wish that the financial feminist, she's a podcaster, she could have given them some good advice.
Yeah, exactly. Oof.
Cut
those
that
life
1,000.
insurance. I think we're going to I feel like that's going to play a factor It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of coverage.
Yeah.
I bet you those are whole life insurance policies versus the term.
Detectives were alerted to the abundance of life insurance policies 4 days after Dan's death. That's when Nancy reached out to a Portland detective requesting a letter stating that she wasn't a suspect in the investigation. So she needs to go to the insurance company and say, I need a letter from you, Mr. Detective, so that I can cash out my husband's
because they
life
won't
insurance
pay
policy.
out if she's part of an active murder investigation if she's the suspect.
This paperwork would allow Nancy to file claims on Dan's 10 life insurance policies.
Okay.
According to people.com, it would also make her eligible for the equity in their home and a workers' compensation claim from OCI since Dan's death occurred in the workplace.
It's a double whammy.
Mhm.
Okay, interesting.
The detective refused to submit the requested letters since it was an open investigation and Nancy was a viable suspect.
And she knew it sounds like.
The excessive amount of life insurance policies and Nancy's eagerness to collect prompted investigators to take a closer look at her. Since the payout for the policies would total $1.4 million.
Excessive. I mean, just given what we know, what they do for a living and how they live, that just seems excessive.
Don McDonald, their neighbor of 6 years, told detectives Nancy's reaction to her husband's death wasn't normal.
Uh-oh.
According to the Oregonian, he said she never showed any signs of being upset or sad. I would say she had an air of relief, like it was almost a godsend. At one point, Nancy casually admitted to McConnell, that she was a suspect.
And again, here's the thing. No, everybody grieves differently. We all know that. So you can't just go, well, she didn't cry. She looks guilty. I think initially that is going to be your reaction because you think, well, if I was in that situation, I would be like crying hysterically. And maybe that's true, but like I've learned from my own life experiences, something shocking happened to me when I was a teenager and I did not react at all. Like I don't even know the person who reacted that way. Like I reacted nothing like I thought I would.
And some people laugh at funerals.
Yeah.
I mean,
nervous. There's
it's a
nervous
laugh.
or it's a comfort thing, a self-preservation, like protection thing.
So, I mean, we can't go off of the emotions.
No.
Right. So detectives found some physical evidence that implicated Nancy in Dan's killing. For starters, her alibi of being at home all morning was proven false.
Okay.
I don't know how they would prove that. Let's see. How would you prove? Because if
surveillance.
We have home.
There's surveillance everywhere.
Yeah.
2018, your phone.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
There's surveillance. There may have been a receipt at a store. And maybe somebody locally was like, well, she came to the grocery store at this, who knows?
So traffic cameras captured her minivan driving. Of course she drives a minivan.
Yeah. Sex books, minivan for sure.
Yeah. Driving near OCI between 6:39 a.m. and 7:28 a.m. on the morning of June 2nd. According to police records cited by people.com, Dan arrived at OCI that morning at around 7:20.
Oh.
So she's in her minivan driving around the campus before he even arrives.
Okay. Suspicious.
Yeah. That meant there was a 13-minute window between Dan's arrival and the next time Nancy's vehicle was spotted on surveillance footage.
Enough time to maybe commit a murder.
Nancy also owned several firearms. She initially told investigators she and her husband worried for their safety in the wake of the Parkland school shooting. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Mm.
You have to give her that. Like,
right.
Okay. I mean,
though they had purchased a 9mm pistol at a Portland gun show, she claimed they never used it and didn't even own ammunition. And she didn't even own ammunition. But a deeper dive into Nancy's credit card records revealed a different story.
Those credit cards will get you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. In addition to the pistol, she had purchased what is commonly referred to as a ghost gun on eBay. Do you know what that is, honey?
It's a gun with a serial number, essentially.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's all it is?
It's not tracked anywhere.
No, that's
you could buy that?
suspicious. I mean,
parts that don't have that on it, and you can sell it freely. So it's not a full weapon. You have to cut something out of it to make it.
Like, why are you? Yeah, now that's highly suspicious. And the fact that she admits to owning a 9mm, which is the gun that killed him, and the surveillance, this is starting to stack up.
Detectives surmise Nancy switched out the pistol's barrel with a Glock slide and barrel, rendering it untraceable. Would that do the trick? I don't know. You know more about guns than I do. Citing motions filed by prosecutors, this was done to present a new, fully intact firearm to police that would not be a match to the shell casings that she left at the crime scene.
Well, and if she did this, she knew a thing or two about guns.
Must have been all
God, are there Google searches? Did they find Google searches how to switch up a gun or whatever, how to, whatever that gun thing is?
Nancy's attorney, Lisa Maxfield, I love that there's a female attorney.
I do too. I love a female badass.
Yeah. Claims she acquired the gun for research purposes.
Oh, for one of her sex books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Maxfield pointed out that Nancy had previously bought several outlandish items, supposedly to inject more realism into her writing. These items include a telescope, police-grade handcuffs, and antique
anal beads. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And antique doorknobs. Maybe.
Okay, hold on. Do you know what is so funny that you just said that? So I listened to Jeff Lewis. Like, he has a Sirius XM, like whatever.
Okay.
And but I listened to his podcast, which is like Jeff Lewis Has Issues. That's what it's called.
Okay.
They literally told a story that like may or may not be real about supposedly, this is probably like Richard Gere and the gerbil story back in the day, which was proven to be false.
Okay.
They literally like told a story about a girl who supposedly tried to like have relations with a doorknob and had to go to the hospital.
She had antique ones.
Did Nancy Brophy? I don't know. This
like
is so
antique doorknobs. Put a little, vintage to it.
A little vintage spin to your sex book.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fact that a gun was bought shortly before her husband was shot to death didn't exactly paint her in a positive light.
Not exactly.
No, it wasn't the doorknobs that did that. With evidence mounting against her, the Portland PD was able to make an arrest.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're arresting now.
Her arrest was September 5th, 2018, a little over 3 months after Chef Dan was killed. So that's pretty fast.
That
3
is
months.
fast. Yeah, that's good.
Nancy Crampton-Brophy was arrested. She was held at Multnomah County Detention Center on one count of murder. That's okay. According to the Daily Beast, when officers took her into custody, Nancy said, "You're arresting me. You must think I murdered my husband."
Holy, now just throw it all out there. Just spill the tea, Nancy Crampton-Brophy.
You know, I picture Nancy as melodramatic.
Yeah, slightly.
That's why I want to read it. "You're arresting me?"
I think she was like trying out for a part in her own sex book.
I know.
I think she was like, this is all just, you're arresting me for what? For murdering my husband?
Yes.
Dun,
we're taking you into custody.
Jeez, Nancy. Okay. Nancy's a little extra for me. She's a little extra.
We read it with flair.
We did. We have no idea how she said it. But
how would you read it, honey? Steve just smiles and
he's a good sport. He's a good sport.
Yeah.
Unlike my Steve would not. Ooh, good question. Well, he's at work. I do know that. And he was a little hesitant to do this with us because he won't admit this, but he's very shy. And unless he knows you really well. And he also has a very dry sense of humor that he always uses as an excuse. Like, he's like, you heard him. You were at my house when we asked him, Melissa. And we were like, babe, what are you doing on this day? You going to record with us? And he's like, babe, no, you're going to get canceled. Nobody's going to get my humor. And I'm like, get over it. Like, he's hilarious.
He's really funny.
He's hilarious.
So, honey, when I stayed at their house, I went to their bougie refrigerator, and they had circular ice. And so I said to Steve, I'm like, wow, you have really nice ice. He's like, we got it from North Korea.
And she was straight. She was like, oh. And I was just sitting on the couch like, oh God, here we go. He's just fucking with her.
He's like, yeah, it comes from this mountain. He gave a story. And valid. So I was not thinking of the location when he said North Korea, because
You just heard Korea and she thought it was
I was
just
thinking South Korea because we had gone to South Korea and it's beautiful and you know and it was very high tech.
Right.
You know, for the airport, the bathrooms were like pristine.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know, I didn't think North Korea when he said it. But then all of a sudden I was eating and like drinking and I looked at the ice cubes and I'm like, North Korea. Damn it!
Yeah, that's exactly what she did. She's all, damn it, Steve. And I'm like, okay, finally. And he's like, no, yeah. You know, he's trying to make our ice sound super exclusive, but that's his humor. Like he'll throw some outlandish fact with a straight face and just like see if you're going to buy it.
Yeah.
And she bought it, but to her credit, she realized like,
it took me a minute.
But we had a long day. You would have got it earlier if it wasn't such a long day.
Yeah, but I also like had taken their beautiful circular ice cubes and put it in the wine that we got from Target that was
because it wasn't cold yet, and I'm not going to drink warm white wine.
You can't put wine in ice.
Several friends reacted with disbelief over Nancy's arrest. Anna Brentwood, who was close with the couple, released a statement which was quoted by the Oregonian, which read, "Everyone that knows her, especially those closer to her than myself, are sick at heart. We are hoping the police are wrong and just going after the easiest target."
Well, you would hope that, but it seems like there's some evidence. So.
A good friend of Nancy's, Tanya Medellin, felt it was all just a misunderstanding. She was quoted by People.com as commenting, "She wrote about murder mysteries and people are spinning it way out of control."
Because you know what? It sounds like, oh, yeah, it's so obvious. She wrote How to Murder Your Husband. Of course she didn't murder her husband. I mean, come on. It's just too,
Yeah.
It's like made for a movie, but we'll
and
see.
It was made into a movie.
Okay, see? Exactly. Of course it was. Everything's made into a movie or a docuseries or...
She wrote about murder mysteries and people are spinning it way out of control. I don't believe she's capable of this. I've known her. I know him. They were in love.
Okay. And she had a ghost gun.
She did.
I don't know.
And she had a minivan that was seen driving around the campus.
And how much life insurance?
$1.4 million.
Okay, so there may be something to this.
I don't think Tanya knew that.
Tanya probably did not know that. To her credit, I'm sure she thought this was all a misunderstanding, genuinely.
Yep. It's fairly common for those close to a suspect to insist on their innocence. The truth is, all of us present a version of ourselves to loved ones.
Oh, all of us. Now that's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that like people in general present not fully who they are to those, even if it's just very slight, but to those around them? I will say it is very rare, at least in my experience, to find yourself in the company of somebody that just feels so authentic, almost like to a fault. And I always say, like, you know, even when I moved to Santa Clarita, I told my husband, Steve, like, I'm just like struggling to make friends out here because I just feel like I just haven't come across anybody authentic. I'm very picky about, like, I just want to be around real people, no put-ons. I don't want to one up the other person. I don't want to play any games. I don't want whatever. And I was just really struggling with that. So I think in general, maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know.
Like countless other court proceedings, Nancy's trial was postponed several times due to the global coronavirus pandemic.
We've seen that a lot in the court system.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. So it was just motion after motion. But while the postponements may have worked in the defense's favor, because it just bought her time, you know, extending the wait time was tough on Dan's family. Nathaniel Stillwater, his son from a previous marriage, hired attorney Christine Maskell to file a $1.7 million wrongful death suit against Nancy.
And you know, I love that as an option because we've seen it so many times, the wrongful death, that it's like a different kind of justice, you know. If you can't get it this way,
get it this way. Yeah. Maskell spoke about the emotional impact on the victim's family, telling the Daily Beast, "It's been horrible. Every time they get ready to go, it's a delay, whether it's COVID, defense motions, they get themselves all geared up and on and into the mind frame, and then it's all for naught again. They're very anxious and excited to get this thing going."
That sounds like torture. for victims and victims, perpetrators' family, who had nothing to do with this, but also like the victims' loved ones. And that sounds like torture.
So the trial just happened April 4th, 2022. So just a little
very
over
recent
year ago. More than 4 years have passed since Dan Brophy's ultimate untimely. So before the trial was underway, Judge Christopher Ramirez ruled against Nancy's 2011 blog being presented as evidence, which is How to Murder Your Husband.
Okay,
blog.
so that got thrown out.
That's
not
thrown
going to be
out.
used as evidence. Okay, interesting.
As reported by Coin News, the writing wasn't permitted due to the danger of unfair prejudice and confusion of the issues.
Okay.
All right.
Well, there's a take.
That's okay, though. You know what? I think that's fair. What do you think, honey?
If anything were to ever happen to my husband, and the prosecution was trying to go, well, we're going to use your Google searches as evidence because you've got all kinds of, looks like you were plotting a murder. I would want that thrown out because it's like, no, based on what I do, I'm going to have this. This has nothing to do with, they could use that against me. I would hope that we could get that evidence thrown out because it's prejudicial and there was a valid reason as to why.
Yeah, it could cause confusion, but it could also help her by saying this is what she claimed earlier, which is all of this stuff
it's for novels.
For novels.
Right.
And so right away, there was a consensus between the defense and prosecution. The Brophies were in dire financial straits. Right away, there was a consensus between the defense and prosecution. The Brophies were in dire financial straits in late 2017. But while the DA believed this constituted a motive, defense attorney Lisa Maxfield insisted the love Nancy had for Dan meant she couldn't fathom a life without him.
Okay.
All right. In opening statement,
either way, but it sounds more like a motive to me.
It does. In opening statement, Senior Deputy DA Sean Overstreet said Dan Brophy was content in his simplistic lifestyle, but Nancy Brophy wanted something more. Nancy Brophy planned and carried out what she believed was the perfect murder, a murder that she believed would free her from the grips of financial despair and enter a life of financial security and adventure. All of the leads that detectives followed up with all pointed back at Nancy Brophy.
Okay. So maybe she was seeking a more adventurous life. She was bored maybe in her marriage and her life. She was living paycheck to paycheck.
Well, it sounds like less than paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
He had two jobs.
Yeah.
What a great guy trying to keep them afloat.
Exactly. And maybe she was just like a overspender and spending all the money and it was just never enough.
Yeah. The defense countered that these so-called leads were circumstantial. To accuse Nancy of murdering Dan undermined 2 decades of happy memories. According to the Washington Post, Maxfield said Nancy was lost after Dan was killed. Her friends would tell you that she sounded very confused. It was as though the earth had fallen away from her feet. I'm sure Nancy probably could use words to say that. With Dan's death, she stood to gain $1.5 million, which is a lot of money for someone who struggled to make it.
It is. It's a very good argument. Yeah.
Yeah. Maxfield argued that given Nancy's career and her in-depth knowledge of life insurance policies, it wasn't all that incriminating to have extensive coverage in place.
Wait, given her what?
Maxfield argued that given Nancy's career and her in-depth knowledge of life insurance policies, it wasn't all that incriminating to have extensive coverage in place.
I think it is if you can't afford it. Why are you stretching that far? If you maybe you think that those payments are going to end one day soon when your son or your husband dies and you're going to get the money. Like just because you sell life insurance doesn't make me think that you're going to get like over coverage and overextend yourself to get it.
So Nancy's attorney said she became more focused on insurance. So maybe this will change your mind. Nancy's attorney said she became more focused on insurance coverage in 2015 when she needed surgery and worried she might die on the operating table. They also explained their client urged Dan to take advantage of lower cost premiums since he was 5 years younger than his wife.
Oh.
Does that change your mind?
No, it just still, I'm sticking to the fact that like, it's just for who they were in life and their financial situation. And it just seems like maybe 3 times the amount they probably needed, you know?
But remember, they're saying she just likes selling life insurance.
Yeah, so let me just sell
To
myself and pay $1,000 a month that I can't afford.
Yeah. Early on in the trial, several witnesses were called to testify for the prosecution. Among them were students and instructors who observed the aftermath of the shooting. I'm sure that stuck with them.
Yes,
Yeah.
it has to.
Traumatic. Yeah. Dan's mother, Karen, gave testimony about her daughter-in-law's demeanor after Dan was killed. Karen said she received a call from Nancy the morning of June 2nd, and she let her know that there was a shooting at OCI. She didn't sound particularly panicked at the time, and Nancy called again a short while later. During that later call, Nancy broke the news to her by simply saying, "It was Dan," as reported by Coin News. Karen said, after she said that, "I don't remember if there was any more conversation. I was absolutely devastated." Yeah.
Who did she call the first time?
What time did she call the first time?
Yeah.
I don't know. Called Nancy's Dan's biggest cheerleader, even when he was harsh with students. She was quoted by the Washington Post as saying she always defended him. She always came up with a reason that was okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. What are you thinking, hon?
She did it.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's convicted her. Okay.
Yeah. One thing Maxine mentioned was a theory held by Nancy's supporters. Since its opening, OCI had attracted a homeless population in the surrounding area. Portland is known, actually. We have a pretty bad homeless. Yeah. Really bad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Had become more aggressive in the months leading up to Dan's murder. This angle, however, was never seriously considered by investigators who found it more plausible that the wife did it.
Well, they caught her on surveillance at an odd hour, and I'm guessing that maybe they didn't see an unhoused person like on camera approaching the school. Who knows?
Yeah. Miranda Bernhard, a former student of Dan's, recollected a garage door on the side. But this wasn't unusual to faculty's manager Woodson Bailey, who testified that Chef Dan would bring in a cart carrying supplies students could purchase. The cart didn't fit through the door any other way.
Okay.
Yeah. Bailey added that after Dan's death, OCI added indoor security cameras. Unfortunately, due to funding issues, the school closed permanently in July of 2020. That's sad.
That's sad.
That's a sad thing. Yeah.
He would have been, Dan, would not have been happy about that.
Detective Anthony Merle's testimony made it clear that no evidence backed up the idea of a random attacker. According to the Oregonian, he said, I thought somebody came in there, saw a window of opportunity to steal a wallet from somebody, steal cash from somebody, steal a vehicle from somebody, but we didn't find anything like that. There's nothing missing.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a robbery gone bad.
Detectives concluded the killing was personal based on reports from state medical examiners. According to Coin News, State Deputy Medical Examiner Michelle Taylor, love another female coroner, I'll just say Michelle Taylor Stauffenberg confirmed in court that Dan was shot at close range, first in his spinal column and then in his heart. She said both injuries would have been fatal.
Close range. That does, I think that tells you something.
Although Nancy's blog entry, How to Murder Your Husband, was deemed not admissible in court, the prosecution was able to get other key evidence admitted. The ghost gun kit Nancy ordered, her out-of-the-blue Target purchase thought she said Target purchase. Her out-of-the-blue Target practices at a firing range, the idea that her husband was worth more dead than alive, were argued by the prosecution at trial.
Okay. They had her on camera right around the right time. And she had that kind of gun.
Nancy's trial is anticipated to last around 7 weeks. At the end of April, on June 13, 2022, self-published romance novelist Nancy Crampton-Brophy was sentenced Monday to life in prison. So Nancy was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after 25 years for murdering her husband at his workplace.
That sounds like a first or second degree conviction.
She was 71 and was found guilty of second degree murder on May 25th, following a trial that took place over more than 7 weeks. So it was a 7-week trial.
And that's a long
Mhm.
time. I
Mhm.
mean, that is a long trial.
Yeah.
Wow. And I wonder why they weren't able to get to first degree murder, because you have to be able to find evidence for premeditation.
Yeah.
And it's, it sounds like if she is guilty, and of course we know she was convicted and sentenced,
Mhm.
that it was first degree. It was premeditated, but sometimes you just can't get there, or you can't get a
Yeah.
jury there. Sometimes juries have options. Like when I was the foreman for a first degree murder trial a few years ago, and we were given the options of like first degree murder, second degree murder, some form of manslaughter, or just like not guilty.
Mhm.
And it took us a while, and we had to deliberate longer. We got to second degree within like a day. And then we needed like another day and like a full weekend to think about it. And then we reconvened and we were able to elevate it to first degree murder. But like you have to find, as you know, premeditation.
Do you believe she killed her husband?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, not because she wrote How to Murder Your Husband. I would just like completely throw that out of my mind, because that could be just whatever, coincidental. But the fact that she was caught on surveillance at that time around or on the campus or around the campus, and then there's the 13-minute window of her being seen. That tells me like going inside, she committed the murder. She got in her van. The part, and then she had the gun, then she bought the ghost gun right before, he was murdered. She bought the gun and she went to target practice. So she's like, seems like she's like gearing up to do this. The thing that throws me off is the up close and personal, like, and maybe I'm being too dramatic, but the fact that it was at close range.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't have like anger or hatred toward your spouse, maybe you would just do it from a distance and just get it because you just want the money, maybe.
Yeah.
But like, why do you so close up is personal? But maybe that was just a function of like, that's the kind of gun she had and she wasn't a very good shot and she like needed to get closer.
Yeah.
To make sure
That's
she hit
how
him.
I think of it.
Okay.
Because if something's far away from me, I probably would miss it.
Yeah.
I have
I know.
horrible
I would.
vision.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Well, I want people to think I'm tough and don't come into my house and mess with me. So no, I would definitely get on the first shot. Yeah.
Yeah. So fast.
Yeah.
What do you think, babe?
She did it. I mean, it's all there. I think she did it.
Yeah. The evidence seems fairly strong.
Premeditated too.
Yeah.
How far back do you think she premeditated?
Probably quite a long ways.
With the life
She talked
insurance.
about it. She put it in her blog so she could get away with it later.
Mm.
That was probably premeditated as well.
So you think
These are my
how?
thoughts, so you're not going to be able to use them.
And do you think, like, are you alluding to the fact that maybe she was like, if I write How to Murder Your Husband, like nobody's going to think I'm going to murder my husband?
Probably.
Maybe. Like maybe that was part of it.
Yeah, then it's too obvious.
And it's like, no, I just wrote about How to Murder Your Husband. Why would I go and do that?
Yeah.
Well, because you're Nancy Brophy and you're extra.
She is. I categorize her as extra. I didn't watch anything that I didn't watch any of her videos of her speaking or anything. But now I'm curious.
Yeah,
she would
if she
say, "You're arresting me for murder."
Oh, how dare you! I wrote about it. You think I'm stupid enough to do it?
I'm going to read. I bet we could read her book still if we wanted to, but I'm not going to buy any books.
You're not going to buy the sex books and read them on the beach for the world to see.
That was like my 15-year-old self,
Yeah.
Like,
I have nothing against.
romance.
Listen, there is no judgment here. People can read whatever.
Sex shaming me.
No. Great. I don't fucking like turtles and I'm a slut shamer against Melissa. Great.
A slut shamer? Now you're calling me a slut.
Oh. Okay, who's the extra ones, Nancy or us? Okay.
All right.
Or as we sit here in hot pink Barbie outfits, who's extra?
We're the extra ones. All right.
Okay, thank you for walking us through that. Like I said, I saw the headlines because it was just kind of blasted in the news about, this author.
It's a Portland case and it's Halloween. I thought do something a little A little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I worry about how sleeves.
It's this. He has to,
sleeveless.
He does not. Okay, we
He
have to.
actually
Let
has
me
no
let me
sleeves
describe
right
what
now.
Steve is. Yeah, he has no sleeves. He's just wearing sweat wristbands and a fan
And
all
knee pads
neon.
and a fanny pack.
And does that look like paint splattered and spray painted?
It's so 80s. It looks
So
like
not-
radical,
yeah.
dude. I
Radical.
mean, you're very 80s.
It is.
Rollerblade outfit.
Yeah. What was the name of the costume that you ordered from Amazon? If people want this, do you recall? The links to our outfit could be in this show description.
Oh my God, nobody wants my outfit. I cannot wait to rip this thing off. It is
me
so
either.
cheaply.
Yeah.
It's just such it's an Amazon special, which by the way, the outfit I walked in earlier today is also an Amazon special.
that's
So I'm an
cute.
Amazon shopper.
That's cute.
But this particular outfit, I just wanted to throw up pink when I got here for this, Halloween episode.
Yeah.
But this jacket is sweaty polyester. Like
Oh,
this,
are you sweating right now?
I
Like,
feel just hot.
Mm,
I just feel hot. But this room is a little hot.
it is. All right, guys. All right, lie detectors. Let us know your thoughts. And the links to all of our Amazon purchases are in the show description if you'd like to.
We will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, lie detectors, leave a 5-star rating and drop your favorite lipstick in the review section because we lie detectors don't gatekeep.
And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Lipstick and Lies if you want to see behind the scenes and clips of us recording each episode. And be a part of the lie detector community.
Executive producers of Lipstick and Lies are Melissa Moore, myself, Jami Rice, and Sim Sarna. The podcast is co-produced by Cloud 10 Media.
Subscribe to Lipstick and Lies so you don't miss an episode.
We all know that crime is usually a good old boys club, but sometimes the truth lies behind lipstick.